I want that maybe a little higher. Hello, everyone. I move my camera around a lot during the week. That's why I got to adjust it every time. So this is the Love Your Liver live stream every Friday. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective. And it's been an interesting week. Some of you in the network know what's going on. And people trying to bring drama into other people's lives. It's just silly. Okay, so today is all subscriber Q&A. If you're listening and you would like to ask a question, you simply need to subscribe to the channel so that you can post in the live chat. That's it. And I don't take all questions. I get to as many as I can, but we'll just get right started on this Friday, the 13th of May, 2022. What is it? Mercury retrograde and Friday the 13th. If the show explodes in the middle of it, just blame all that stuff. Okay. Matthew asks, do you think a low vitamin A muscle meat carnivore diet would work with fiber supplements and the key minerals you recommend long-term for people with chronic gut issues like IBS, Crohn's, and ulcerative colitis? So let's say all muscle meat carnivore. Okay, so I want you to understand, any carnivore variation other than minor, once in a while deviation, the only carnivore diet I can even begin to go along with is the all muscle meat version. The nose to tail, the tons of eggs, the dairy thing I think is just hilarious. Like people shoving down tons of dairy and calling it carnivore. You should call it the baby cow diet. I mean, seriously. Because I haven't seen too many carnivorous baby cows sucking on udders. So for somebody, let's say, who knows that they do really well on a lot of muscle meat. Now, I can say I do well on more muscle meat than other stuff. And that's something I've observed over the years. Does that mean that everybody needs to eat that way? No. But the nice thing about an all muscle meat carnivore diet is it is high in zinc, which is very helpful for this. It's very low in vitamin A. It's also very low in copper, which is good. So can that calm things down very quickly? Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't mean that you're, as the question goes on, so I'm just clarifying this for you who are new to this. The problem with an all muscle meat carnivore diet is there's not much soluble fiber in it, which helps get rid of bile. And so as I went over in, I think 2 live streams ago, a book from the very late 1800s about how people's symptoms came right back when they were on an all lean beef and warm to hot water diet. That was all they ate. Their problems would go away very quickly. But as very soon after they got off that diet, even after being on it a year, their problems came right back. And this is like late 1800s. There's no glyphosate. There's none of that stuff. So what made them sick? I mean, they were saying that eating fruit and nuts brought all their symptoms back after being on an all muscle meat diet for a year. Shouldn't they have detoxed a lot that their problems didn't come right back? And this is what I see, and some of you have heard me talk about this. People who go on keto or carnivore, keto people, they get off their keto and their problems are back and they're worse than they ever were before. I mean, I saw this happen with, other weird diets like RBTI. People would do RBTI and their problems came back and they were worse than before. And I've seen it happen with like the people who go on a vegan high carrot juice diet for their cancer, and their cancer may go away for a bit. Did you know that they use retinoic acid, a form of vitamin A, as chemotherapy? And they use retinoic acid, a form of vitamin A, as a vaccine adjuvant. And yet there's people out there trying to think that doing high vitamin A is actually fixing something. It's not going to end the way you hope, but they get off there. I knew a guy, he helped somebody to make their cancer go away with all this juicing and the vegan stuff. And the guy got off the diet, and I think it was within 6 months, he's dead of the cancer again. Making something go away is very different than actually fixing the underlying problem. Right? If you have a car that's not driving as fast as you want it to go because stuff in the engine is wrong, you can put a turbo booster on it. You can put a turbocharger on it. It will drive faster, and you will ruin the engine even faster. But for somebody who, let's say people who come to me, and a lot of people who have come to me are from the carnivore world. Amazing that it didn't fix all their problems, right? I thought carnivore fixed everything. It's the natural diet. But anyway, people from the carnivore world come to me, and they're still broken. Or they try to eat anything that's not carnivore, and things hit the fan. Stuff that they used to tolerate. So let me give you some insight here. If before you did an extreme diet, you could tolerate things, more things, and then after you do this extreme diet, you cannot tolerate the same things, your health has gotten worse, not better. You didn't become more sensitive. You became less resilient. The more sensitive, like people will think that, oh, I'm so cleansed now that I simply can't tolerate it. I have horrible reactions if I eat it. Let me tell you how this is supposed to work. As you actually get healthier and you clean your body out more, you want toxic stuff less. And if you eat it, you don't get the same buzz that you used to. Let me give you an example. And people have, in the Love Your Liver Network, comment about this stuff. Like if I go and I eat something sugary, like the typical baked crap that's out there, and we're all going to do it at some point. There's no need to be like, overly, I don't know, what's the word, judgmental about never doing it again. Like I'll have a bite or two of these things. And because the funny thing is I say a bite or two because I have a bite of these things that I used to like more. And now I eat them and I go, why am I eating this? It's not some like massive judgmental thing. I just go, I really used to enjoy this stuff more, and now I just don't. It doesn't, whatever the buzz was that I used to get from it, I don't anymore. It's not me. I can tolerate it just fine. Tolerating it is not a problem. I used to be sensitive to gluten. Used to make me basically get almost slightly narcoleptic and like want to fall asleep in class in med school. I don't have that problem with gluten anymore. I'm more resilient because I'm more healthy now. And I don't want that stuff. It's not that I have to force myself to not eat it, it's that I don't want it. So anyway, back to the question. For those who are transitioning back into gaining their health and becoming more resilient again, in kind of the directions that I tend to suggest, do I think an all muscle meat carnivore diet adding in either, so charcoal can be used as a bile binder. If you're not constipated, if you have any tendency towards constipated and you want to not poop, take some charcoal. That'll stop your pooping problem completely. And I mean, by stop your pooping problem, I want to make sure you don't misunderstand me. I'm saying you're going to stop pooping. If you're already constipated, charcoal is not your friend. You're just not going to poop. And if you're not pooping, you're not getting rid of bile. So, soluble fibers, whether somebody wanted to mess around with, let's say, apples, apple pectin, psyllium. Well, so maybe sorry, let me customize this more. Since we're talking about like the all muscle meat carnivore thing, and let's say we have people who are really like, I don't tolerate carbs. Carbs are not my friend. I don't feel good when I eat them. I have all sorts of health problems pop up when I eat them, and they're not ready yet. Then they could do just fibers, that you want to find one that works for you. Could you do charcoal if you're pooping well? Yes. But if you were going to do soluble fiber, you could do stuff like maybe apple pectin supplements. You could do stuff like finely ground psyllium fiber. Finely ground. The finer it's ground, the nicer it is. The chunky stuff is just gross. And there's less surface area of it, so it does less work. Okay. So could you just work on that? Yes. The goal would be to make you more resilient so you can eat more like a person who's not restricted on foods because of your health, where you can make more choices. Now then, as you make more choices and you learn what your body likes and what it doesn't like, then you can fine tune what the best diet is for you, which is, where people hear, I say, I do better on a high meat diet, like a majority meat diet. Well over 50% of my diet is going to be muscle meat. And well over 50, probably well over 2/3 of that is going to be red meat. I feel good on that. Other people may not. I had a woman just tell me a couple weeks ago, I don't feel good on red meat. How'd you do on chicken? I feel fine on chicken. Well, then let's eat chicken. Let's not do red meat for you. And it's really as simple as that. She observed. I gave her feedback and I was basically giving her permission to eat what her body was saying was best for her. But yeah, would that be a very good intro into moving back into this? Yes. I think that could be a very good intro for people who are limited in their diet because of whatever has happened to them in the past. Yes. Okay. Sentient Now, do you recommend eating nuts? Do I recommend it? Not particularly. Can people do it? Sure. I wouldn't get into the eating nuts every day kind of thing or eating gigantic amounts of nuts. Do I eat nuts? Yeah, I keep around. We have some salt. So the Trader Joe's almonds that are like 50% salt from the normal ones, because you just don't need it. It's funny, they made those 50% salt almonds and they taste just fine. And no, they're not organic. And no, I don't eat very many of them. Like maybe a quarter cup a week. Here's a tip with nuts and seeds if you're going to eat them. Measure out a serving and eat that. I might have a serving of nuts once a week, maybe twice a week. That's it. So are they recommended? Like if I had the time to prep all my food on the weekend, I'm going to do this soon. But if I was prepping all my food on the weekend, so I had breakfasts and lunches and I had dinners all set, I probably wouldn't eat any nuts unless I had some super lots of activity or something and I needed some food and I was just sick of the other stuff. Nuts are basically a fill-in snack for me when I need something to fill in and need some calories. Let's say I was going to go do a long gym session and I wanted something easy to digest that didn't make me feel too heavy or take too much, stomach energy while I'm going to go lift. I might eat a beef stick. This is a big snack. A beef stick and a banana and some almonds. And I can go and do like hours of working out on that. High, and it's got plenty of protein. It's got plenty of potassium. It's got carbs. It's got, the nuts. But yeah. Finishing the question, I've also heard that they can be pretty moldy and it's hard to tell. I tend to overeat them sometimes. Love-hate relationship. Overeating them. Okay, any snack food. Here's a simple tip. Any snack food, especially if it's not that great for you, or you have your doubts, measure it out in a serving. Do not eat out of the bag. Eating out of the bag is the straight way to overeating. Measure out a serving, eat it, and then wait like 10 or 15 minutes. And you'll probably be just fine. The eating out of the bag is like one of the things I do like Noom. For those of you who are interested in losing weight, I actually do really like Noom. It's more like behavioral psychology stuff of why we overeat, and it is what I used to help me lose, what was it, about 25 pounds now. So for those of you who are looking and going, gosh, in your old videos you don't look as healthy as you do now, Dr. Smith. Yeah, because I was 215 pounds. Part of that was from past dietary stuff. Part of it is having kids. And any of you folks out there who haven't had kids and you're like 20 something, you're like, I don't understand why people gain weight as they get older. Shut up. If you haven't had kids, just shut up about what happens after it. I mean, seriously. Don't listen to 20 somethings about nutrition and diet and health. They can do the worst things. See Ray Pete, the followers. They think they're the smartest people in the world, and boy, the shit's gonna hit you hard when it hits, man. God. Anyway, measure out a serving. Eat the serving. Give it 15 minutes. If you need more, then go back. But Noom, I like Noom. It works really well. I think it works. The thing I found for me was let me tell you what I figured out with Noom. Well, weighing yourself every day is really helpful in keeping track of if you're being stupid about what you're doing. You get instant feedback. Like you start seeing a trend of the scales going the wrong direction. What am I doing wrong? That's easy. Tracking your food. There's a psychology thing of tracking your food, which is where if you actually track your food, you're having to remember what you ate. Remembering what you ate actually helps remind your body that you've eaten, so you don't have to eat as much. It's simple psychology. You're like, oh yeah, I ate. What if you just go in your brain, you go, I ate that much for lunch. That was a pretty good lunch. And then you may in the brain go, I'm not that hungry now. I'm really fine. I ate a good lunch. I don't have to have an afternoon snack. There was that, and then I realized that sugar of any form, God, the people who are like fruit sugar in real fruit is just different than other sugars. No, it's really, I mean, you can make sugar worse. You can make high fructose corn syrup and put mercury in it and all sorts of crap, but you can make sugar worse. But sugar is sugar is sugar. And if I eat any sugar, especially in the morning, I knew that I would be hungrier and want to eat more calories the whole day. So what were the easy hacks for me to simply eat less? Because I've always been known my entire life to eat a lot of food. I was like the guy going for 3 servings. I'm honestly surprised that I wasn't heavier looking back on it now. Probably my activity level and just generally eating healthier foods. So anyway, tracking my food and not eating sugary foods of any type. Boom, pretty easy. Oh, and then not drinking calories. Drink water. Do you actually think that we were put on this earth needing to drink anything other than water? Seriously. Stop drinking calories. For a lot of people, just not drinking soda or beer or beer, they'll lose tens of pounds. How much were they messing up their own health and life just by drinking calories? Drink water. Anyway, that was a little rant. Oh, if you want to do Noom, here I'll type the code in the chat. This is the discount code for $40 off. All capitals Noom 40. And no, I don't make a dime on that. I recommend this because it worked for me, and I think you'll figure out where you eat, where you tend to like mindlessly eat, what foods like trigger you, like sugar for me, and it really helps you figure out yourself. And then once you see the problems, you can address the problems, or at least you know it's there. It's like the first step, like when they say Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, the first step is admitting you're an alcoholic, and maybe the first step of losing weight is admitting you don't understand food or how your relationship with food is or your problems with food. My dad used to just sit around, especially in his later years where he wasn't working. He would just get up and go check at the fridge like every hour. So you can work on these things. Anyway, Alice asks, can you talk about beans, gas, and dysbiosis? Should I continue to eat beans if they're causing excessive gas? So there are people out there. One of them is a naturopathic doctor who's on thyroid hormone who says he's a thyroid expert, which I always find interesting. I consider myself a thyroid expert, and I'm not on thyroid hormone. So which one's better? I always love the Ray Peters who are like, take thyroid hormone to speed up your metabolism. I'm like, what did you fix? Slow metabolism is a symptom. Taking stuff to hack your metabolism is not fixing a damn thing, and you're probably making things worse. And then later you can come find me and I'll tell you what to do to fix it. But beans, this other thyroid expert was saying to basically have a tablespoon or two of beans a day for 2 weeks. And he said by then the gas should be all gone. You just introduce it slowly. Gosh, have you ever heard anybody else say introduce things slowly? Like with everything? That would be me. Constantly telling people to introduce things slowly. You are your own science experiment. You hit the gas you push the pedal to the metal and you crash. I mean, I warned you. The dysbiosis articles are in the program. If you were to go in the search bar in the program and type in probiotics, you'll find my articles on them. The last thing, just in case somebody out there goes, oh, Dr. Smith says take probiotics. That is absolutely not what I do. These articles go into the typical symptoms of the 3 major dysbiosis patterns. How to recognize them, how to try to address them, and if that doesn't work, then you do the other thing. Okay? I went right. Well, that wasn't the right way. Oh, so then go left. That's what we do here. If how you present, like I hate symptom questionnaires for the most part, because you can have people methylation questionnaires. Those of you who have gotten into the undermethylation and overmethylation, and I saw this happen all too often. This is why I gave up on the whole methylation nonsense, because if you have methylation problems, it's mainly a symptom of toxicity, just so you're aware. Genetics loads the gun, environment pulls the trigger. If you change the environment, you can stop pulling the trigger. Genetic stuff, leaning on genetics to fix your health, is victim mentality. I'm a victim of my genetics. No. You have your genetics. You made it this far. Your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents all survived, and they gave you that genetics. You're poisoned and probably mineral deficient. Fix that. That's what I help people do. But back to the probiotics. There's 3 main patterns. Sometimes probiotics can really help with people in their tolerance of beans. Many people who have done keto diets, high-fat diets, you could do a high-fat vegan diet and cause a dysbiosis. Absolutely. How do they cause cholestasis in mice and rats? They give them a high-fat diet. And people will be like, oh, the type of fat matters. No, it really doesn't. High-fat diets kill your bifido. Okay. So I can tell you that the beans, so that you can start slow on beans. That may be one way to tolerate them. You could figure out, is there an amount of beans where I don't have gas? And if I go over that amount, then I tend to have gas. You can do things like soaking the beans for 24 hours in the fridge in water and then cooking them in a pressure cooker like an Instant Pot. And sometimes doing these things will drastically reduce the amount of gas somebody has. If you just don't get along with beans, then don't eat them. I am not a slave to any particular dietary approach for any particular person. We don't do protocols here. Protocols are for people who can't think. I demand that people think in my programs. If you want to be spoon-fed protocols by fearmongers, I mean, this is not the place for it. And this is not just directed at you, Alice. This is at anybody listening. We don't do protocols. Protocols would be saying that everybody's the same and everybody just needs to do this same thing. That is medicine for the people who choose to turn off their brain. Not here. So those articles that I wrote in the program are important to read. You should find them. And I can tell you that I used to really have a lot of gas with beans. And as I've fixed my dysbiosis I did do some of the probiotics. One type of probiotics, absolutely terrible for me. Another type helped. Lactoferrin, if you haven't seen it in our nutritiondetective.com store, the best stuff on the market, lactoferrin helps correct not only toxic bile leakage problems like subclinical cholestasis, which if you're here listening, you probably have it, helps to fix that, but it also helps correct the gut dysbiosis, which is probably caused by the toxic bile in the very first place. So, Doc, it hurts when I do this. Well, don't do that. That's the first thing. Or do less. Or maybe you're not ready for it yet. It's always going to be the same answers on these things. Why is this not working for me? It's something else then. I mean, I'm 99.5% Scandinavian. There's not a lot of beans in Scandinavia, as far as I know, in their diets. So maybe genetically, I'm just not really adapted to beans. Somebody out there on the internet was trying to mock me, trying to say that because I don't tolerate rice well, that somehow I'm like a bad person or I'm unhealthy. And I'm like, I'm not even going to talk to this guy about it. I'm not even going to respond. But I'm 99.5% Scandinavian. I don't think Norwegians and Swedes developed with a lot of rice around. So maybe I shouldn't eat it. This is not that hard. But people who out there recommend one diet for everybody because they're mental midgets and they can't figure it out on their own that something for one person might not be okay for another person. That's what they do. So that's the stuff on beans. Free Michigan, I started doing magnesium chloride foot baths. I do it before bed, but it seems to be making my eyes puffy when I wake up in the morning. Why is that? Should I do the soaks in the morning instead? Generally, when people do magnesium, I go over this in the magnesium articles on the program. When people have problems with magnesium, they have a potassium deficiency problem. What is causing their potassium deficiency problem? Vitamin A toxicity blocks potassium channels. Copper toxicity depletes potassium. Vitamin D supplements deplete potassium. You may not be doing these things, but if you still have them in your system and they're coming out, then they can cause the potassium problems. Now, the other thing that can happen with magnesium is, I was just talking to somebody on Twitter the other day about this. If somebody, because this person said, I started on magnesium, and he's like, this is the first time I've slept through the night. Topical magnesium, not pills. Topical's 10 times as effective as pills, in my opinion. Pills are a waste of money unless you're going to use them to help you poop for most people. Maybe 1 out of 20 people actually gets benefit in terms of on a hair test, like restoring their magnesium levels from pills. And that's from my own thousands of hair tests of observations. So, he slept through the night for the first time, and he said, man, and I woke up and I got up the next morning and I slept through the night. It was great. And I was tired. Like I was groggy and tired. Why is that? The thing you have to understand is, like, as an example, copper is toxic and it's a stimulant to your nervous system. It's overstimulating your nervous system. So people get used to it. They get kind of, in a way, addicted to the copper toxicity, making them feel wired and gives them whatever energy they have. After a while, that energy goes away, as most of you who are here know, because it's a fake energy. It's like caffeine. It's like people who have caffeine habits. Eventually, that energy that they got at the beginning goes away because it's a poison, and the body responds to start, but it stops responding after a while. That's classic drug stuff, tolerance and withdrawal. So let's talk about withdrawal. So let's say this person sleeps through the night for the first time. If you don't know, when you don't sleep well, the thing that keeps you up during the day is more stress hormones, more cortisol, more adrenaline. That's what keeps you up. What would we use to normally turn down our stress hormones at night? We would use sleep. So let's say somebody doesn't sleep well and they're constantly running on stress hormones. They sleep through the night well. All of a sudden, their body starts turning down their stress hormones in a positive, healthy way. But what do they feel the very first day back that they finally slept well? They're like, man, why am I tired? I just slept really well. Because they're withdrawing from their stress hormone addiction or dependence. And what did I tell this person? Just keep doing it. It will go away. It's going to be like coming off coffee. Like when people come off of coffee and they're super tired, and then over time, the fatigue goes away, and then they get their old levels of energy back. And they find they don't have to have coffee. They were just addicted. So those are the two things I would say: potassium deficiency, and potentially just, if you told me you slept a lot better by doing those foot baths, and then you're getting the puffy eyes in the morning, I would say it's probably this like withdrawal reaction. Okay. Apocalypse Miracle says, hello, Dr. Smith. You said in a previous live stream that I don't eat a lot of grains and beans. What do you eat then? If I took out grains, I wouldn't know what else to eat. This is why I don't like to talk about my diet, because then everybody goes, Dr. Smith, you must have the perfect diet. And I go, I'm working on it for me. I'm working on it for me. I can't work on it for anybody else. But let me see. Some mornings, I mean, it depends on what you want to call a lot, because there are people on the program who eat, like, they do the cowboy diet variation where they're doing all beef and beans. For me, I'd be like, just no. I mean, other people do it. The lady who brought her cirrhosis in working with me from a stage 4 down to a stage 2 in 6 months, she did the cowboy diet. She had some cheats here and there, but she did the cowboy diet. Intense people can do intense diets. Absolutely. I try not to. I may seem intense, but I'm in diet-wise, I'm not that intense. But like I'll have some of my staples would be, I have the whole wheat rye sourdough bread from Whole Foods, the Prussian rye. I might have, a slice of that broken in half with a grass-fed beef patty. Last night, I mean, the vegetables I like to have are typically with dinner. It's a short list. It's asparagus, green beans. Once in a while, I might have like a butter lettuce salad, light green lettuce. I might have the other night we had, we call it tacos, but it's really just ground beef with some refried beans mixed in it. And then I put whatever I'm going to put on top of it. But I just have a bowl of that. I don't put it on anything. Meatloaf. I made some meatloaf with oats this week. I had that several meals. We had steak. Beans and grains come into my diet here and there. Like other people who are having, when I say a lot, people who are having a lot of beans and grains. I mean, those folks are usually having it at least once, twice, if not 3 times a day. Am I doing that? No, I have no problem with having an all meat meal. But would I call myself a carnivore? No, absolutely not. Yeah. You got to eat. I saw somebody post on Facebook. I reposted it. She was talking about how, the quickest way to get sick is to not eat enough. Absolutely. When people go to whole food diets, they often undereat because they get very, very full from the whole foods, and they might eat the same. Let's say you're used to eating a certain quantity of a food when it used to be more processed and refined and higher calorie stuff included in there. And then all of a sudden you start going to whole foods and you're eating like the same amount of food, but the amount of calories goes way down. And then all of a sudden you don't realize you're under eating. And then people start going, I don't know why I'm so tired. You didn't put enough gas in the engine. So that's, my diet is not that big. I'm still dealing with, I deal with making dinner outside of my home several nights a week because of, my ex and my kids situation. It's not all perfect. Doesn't have to be. It needs to be good enough to move things forward. And the 20-somethings living alone go, well, why don't you just do whatever you want all the time? And it's like, yeah, no. Life is messy and complicated once you're not single and you have kids, right? So the houses we live in says we have copper pipes. How do I protect myself when I am washing dishes? Gloves are not an option. I have tried. Bad fit causes dishes to get broken. Are there filters that work on hot water? The mineralstream.co shower filters have zeolite balls in them, and they can soak up copper. That's a shower head. If you wanted to get, I don't have. There's reverse osmosis systems that do produce hot water. Probably an under-counter deal. I honestly, I would say if you were taking care of, I mean, you can worry about every single thing in your life. I mean, or you can wash dishes and, make sure the drinking water you get is as clean as possible, and make sure that your shower water that's covering your whole body, not just your hands, is clear. And then maybe you don't worry about the sink water. Or you can get a reverse osmosis system that produces cold water and hot water. That's basically your solution. Or you get replacements for the copper water pipes. That's basically, those are the things. Am I going to be going and worrying about the sink water that I'm washing dishes in? No, I'm not going to be doing that. If you wash dishes for a living, that might be important. Okay. Matthew asks, is 1,000 micrograms of biotin worth supplementing for stronger hair, skin, and nails? I have noticed not many foods have considerable amounts of the RDA. Is it just supplement industry hype? Biotin is something I've had people tell me that if they take a certain dose, it helps their hair, skin, and nails. And I've had certain, and then they say, if I go over this dose, my hair, skin, and nails actually gets worse. That sounds very suspicious to me. Biotin, and I have other people try biotin, and it doesn't help at all. I don't have to tell them to try biotin. They try biotin because of something they read on the internet. What you're trying to find, if you're going to do it, is you are trying to find always with anything like that, anything extra like that, you are trying to find the minimal effective dose. The smallest amount that gives you the most benefit. It's not just, well, this internet blog said to take 5,000 micrograms a day. Get the smallest pill you can and try it and go up as you are noticed. It kind of decide how much you're going to stop at. Like, what is the stop point? And when you get there, if it hasn't helped, if it didn't help at all, stop taking it. If you don't have like testing that says you're deficient in something essential, like we do with the blood testing and the hair testing, to look at minerals, which are the foundation of everything we are made of. Remember, vitamins are built from things on, so minerals are the base things on the periodic table, right? The periodic table of the elements, what we're made of. Minerals are the base foundation. Vitamins are made from the things on the periodic table. So which one is more foundational? Which one is more important? The minerals are. Always have been. And if we start looking at foods and we go, wait, there's not a lot of foods that have a lot of biotin in it, then we start going, well, do people really need it for healthy hair, skin, and nails? Maybe not. I mean, it's like the silica water. Do you need a ton of silica coming in to have healthy skin, hair, and nails? I don't drink it. I'm always amazed at my skin quality now that I've gotten the vitamin A out. It is. I did a tweet about this last week or two, which was, it is much more important when we're talking about in today's modern world, and possibly for all time, it is much more important to have less toxins coming in from your diet or elsewhere than it is to worry about putting mega doses of vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals and all that crap, because most of those are toxic anyway. A low toxin intake is more important. I mean, realize this. Humanity has survived through periods of amazingly crappy nutrition. Low calorie intakes, low vitamin intakes, and they've survived. And now we have more nutrients around than ever before. I mean, people say, yes, the foods are low. Yeah, and that's true. But we have more supplements that we could take than ever. And we have people shilling superfoods more than ever. Eat beef liver. Eat this super bright red plant food that humans have never consumed in large amounts ever, and it'll magically fix all your problems. The idea that superfoods exist, and vitamin D supplements. Let's all take vitamin D supplements. That will fix everything. How much of humanity's health and suffering has gone down since they introduced the vitamin D supplement fad? None of it. It's only gotten worse. Superfoods. None has gotten better. It's only gotten worse. Beef liver. None. It's all only gotten worse. Less toxins is more important than more nutrients. But what are they going to, how do they sell you less toxins? How are they going to make a lot of money on that? They're not. That's why they don't care. How many hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars are biotin supplements selling these days? When it doesn't even appear in foods much, as you state. That's where we would start to get into a drug effect. It's probably a drug effect. Let me go look. Let's see, does biotin do anything to bile? And then we'll have our answer. I want to get I was looking into StreamYard. Wow. Here's the paper. Let me link this and put it in the comments. Biliary excretion of biotin and biotin metabolites is quantitatively minor in rats and pigs. Quantitatively minor. Just wait until you hear this. The concentrations of biotin, bisnorbiotin, and biotin DL sulfoxide in bile were 6.9 to 14.7 times the concentration in serum. And then they'll say, however, the bile to serum ratios of biotin and metabolites were over 99% less than those of bilirubin, which is actively excreted. (6.9 to 14.7 times higher biotin concentration in the bile than in blood. Does that sound like the body's trying to get rid of it? It sounds like it to me. I mean, to compare it to bilirubin and then therefore say, oh, well, this is not significant. That's the stupid things that the researchers do. Let's see, anything else? Ooh. This doesn't sound good. Let me plug this one here. I haven't read this one in detail. I'm just going to put it there. Dietary biotin supplementation modifies hepatic morphology without changes in liver toxicity markers. Dietary biotin supplementation modifies hepatic morphology. It's changing the liver without changes in liver toxicity markers. I'm going to tell you, how many sick people do you know whose liver enzymes are just fine? A lot. You got all these guys on the internet going, well, yeah, I take my testosterone, or they're actually actively taking higher doses than testosterone replacement therapy. And they're basically, the saying is, on steroids. And they're like, well, but my liver's just fine. I'm fine. I don't have any problems. The liver markers don't always show up until the problem is really bad. As the saying goes, my car worked just fine until it broke. Failures tend to be catastrophic. Everything holds together until it breaks. But let's look here. We investigated the effect of biotin supplementation on hepatic morphology and liver toxicity markers. Male BALB/CANNHSD mice were fed a control or a biotin supplemented diet for 8 weeks. Versus the control mice, biotin supplemented mice had an altered portal triad with dilated sinusoids, increased vascularity, and bile conducts. Furthermore, we observed an increased proportion of nucleomegaly and binucleated hepatocytes. And then they add this, in spite of. The liver morphological changes, no differences were observed in the serum liver damage indicators, oxidative stress markers, or antioxidant enzymes. What they're saying is that when they saw those liver changes, they expected to see markers of liver damage. They were expecting it, having seen the changes that happened to the liver. Some people find that a small dose of biotin helps their symptoms, whereas a large dose of biotin caused their symptoms to return and get worse. People wonder why I don't get into the B vitamin thing so much. I think it's a ticking time bomb. I think it turns on people, and a lot of people who get better in the program, they might start taking some B vitamins and they might notice some help at the start. And I tell them, okay, you can keep taking it. That's fine. And I tell them it's going to turn on you at some point. As you get better, at some point, those B vitamins are going to cause you problems. Be aware of this and watch for it to happen. And then all of a sudden later on, they go, whoa, that was so crazy. All of a sudden I was taking the B3 or the B2 or whatever. And then I started getting worse. And I thought they had a gut feeling. And they also had me in the back of their head going, these are going to turn on you. And they stopped taking it. And all of a sudden the problems go away. And then they go, that's exactly what you said. They were going to turn on me at some point. And they did. You know what? I really take a lot of, it always makes me feel really good when people tell me, they say, Dr. Smith, you're the only person who told me what was probably going to happen as I did this. And then that exact thing happened. I tell people, I say, this might make you feel worse. If it does, stop it. But if you feel better on it, then you're figuring out the minimal effective dose to get the effect. And then when you don't need it anymore, you stop taking it. Every supplement you take that you don't need is stressing your liver. It'd be just like saying every gallon of water you run through a water filter is using up your water filter's life. Does that make sense? Everything you take that you don't need is putting stress on your liver. That's how machines work. Your liver is a filter. It's a sewage processing plant. And it's a dumping mechanism. And it's a storage facility. Filter, sewage processing plant, storage facility. Stores toxins. It runs out of storage space at some point too. But filters, for anybody to say the liver's not a filter, they're wrong. The liver, a filter means it takes something out of something. It selectively takes things out of something else. Does the liver selectively take things out of the blood? Yes. I mean, serious. And then they'll go, but a liver accumulates stuff. And I'm going, the hell do you people think fatty liver is? The liver would, then in the next breath, the liver stores fat-soluble vitamins. What do you think fatty liver is? I'm sitting here saying the liver stores toxins. And the other people say the liver stores fat-soluble vitamins. And then I go, do you know what color fatty liver is? And they go, no. I can say, go search what color fatty liver is. And they look around on the internet and they go, it looks pretty yellow. What color is vitamin A? Yellow. What color is the tocopherol family, the main vitamin E family? Yellow. What color is bile that hasn't made it to the gallbladder yet and sat in the gallbladder for a while? Yellow. What the hell do you think the liver's storing in fatty liver? Oh, it's got to be from carbs. What do carbs break down into? Alcohols and aldehydes. Eventually, you can go see the what's the paper by Lustig. Fructose. It's alcohol without the buzz. Sugars metabolize into alcohols. They simply don't enter your central nervous system to make you drunk. But if you have enough of a yeast overgrowth, right, it can convert it into alcohol and you can get drunk. And then people will listen to me and someone will be like, but wait, you're against carbs? No. Jiminy Christmas. This is why you have to be able to think here. That's why I just talked about the carnivore thing earlier. But am I going to take biotin anytime soon? No. Could somebody get some benefits from it? Sure. If somebody's taking it and they're not noticing any changes, should they keep taking it, hoping that magically sometime 6 months down or a year down the road it's going to start working? No. Stop. Stop stressing your liver with extra supplements. If you want to know what you need, get tested with me. Oh, wait, skipped way forwards. There. You're welcome, Matthew. Lindy says, I think I might be an undertype. What are good fats to add to my diet and how much is too much? Food, fats, and then I'm not going over all the fats here. That's in the program. I talk about the fats that I like. Wiss says, you talk about glyphosate in water. Is there any filter you recommend? Reverse osmosis. AquaTrue if you want to get a countertop. Otherwise, I think it's, what was it called? Drops something. Was one that Tyler on the network really liked. Super easy, under sink water drop. Water drop. AquaTrue is a countertop one. Aqua Drop is an under the sink one that's supposedly very, very easy to install. Those are, the World Health Organization recommends against reverse osmosis. That makes me think more highly of it. Simple as that. Reverse osmosis or distilled water. It is much more important to drink clean, overly clean water than it is to drink water with all the bullshit in it that's left in tap water. And who knows what the hell's in spring water these days. I mean, think of spring water. Oh, it's underground water coming up. What are we putting on the ground? What is going up into the clouds and raining down and then getting, I don't know. I don't know. If you don't get it tested, you don't know either. I just had a woman, her manganese was sky high off the charts, like 2 or 3 times off the charts, probably from her well water. Well, if you're showering in that water, you're absorbing it through your skin. Do you know that manganese, go look up manganese in Parkinson's. Go look up aluminum and Alzheimer's. Copper and Alzheimer's. Go have fun with those. Oh, but bioavailable copper definitely doesn't cause Alzheimer's. Show me studies. You shouldn't be a mineralist and think that one mineral form is good and one mineral is bad. You shouldn't do that. Using the term bioavailable. You want to know what's bioavailable copper? Copper you drink in your water that gets into your system that I can find on blood tests and hair tests. Do you understand what bioavailable means out there, protocol people? Bioavailable means simply gets into your body. Making up horseshit terms. You should stop it. Tomate says, okay, I'm watching now my favorite Crusader. Yes, we are here. Butch, the doc is in the house, release the Kraken. I mean, there's not enough time left for me to be super polite and nice, y'all. There's just not enough time left. I got to get people healthy so they can do the right things at the right time. Because what are they trying to do to us from all sides? They're trying to make us sick. But I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. Monkey says, what's going wrong if you can't tolerate glutathione, glutamine, lysine, NAC, and sulfur? Taking molybdenum, charcoal, and yucca isn't helping. Glutathione, sulfur-based. Glutamine, don't know. Lysine, don't know. NAC, NAC. Sulfur, and sulfur. Sulfur slows down ALDH. That is one of your key detox enzymes. You slow down ALDH, you tend to start accumulating aldehydes in your system. What does our body bind to aldehydes? Well, aldehydes, first of all, are probably, let me put it this way, slowing down ALDH is an absolute part of cholestasis, of bile accumulation in the blood. Slow ALDH and cholestasis are like this, absolutely intertwined. Some of that, I've been able to show a bit of it in the research, and some of it is I've just figured it out over time by watching the patterns of what things slow ALDH and what things are known to cause liver injury and cholestasis. When you look at a hair test and you look at what is coming out in the hair, so the highest mineral on the hair test, the highest quantity mineral on the hair test is in milligram percents on the trace elements type hair test. They do milligram percents, which is basically parts per million divided by 10. Why do they do it that way? I don't know. Ask them. But I don't care what unit it is in, as long as I know where I want it. We want calcium around a 40 to 42. Okay. Anybody who thinks that we can have, so first of all, there's no such thing as a sulfur deficiency. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And when you look at the hair test, you start to understand why. So calcium's in the 40s is where we want it. The highest calcium I've ever seen in somebody I've worked with is 730. The highest I've heard of is 1200. Okay, these are freakishly high calciums. Like I've been through 2,000 hair tests and I've seen a 730 and a 700, and those are the absolute highest that I've seen. I think the next closest was like 500 something. Freakishly high calciums. And did I fix the 700? The 700 person stayed with me. It took 2.5 years to bring that down to a 30, and then now we're keeping it right around where we want it. So if you've been working on a high calcium for a really long time and you're working with a practitioner who uses vitamin A and you can't get it down, it's the vitamin A that's the problem. Here's the problem. Vitamin A causes calcium problems. It works for a while until it doesn't. That's the way with most of these things that are poisons. They work for a while, like chemotherapy. Oh, vitamin A is used as chemotherapy? Carrot juice? Liver injections a la their Gerson diet? It works for a while until it doesn't. Caffeine works for a while until it doesn't. Everything in pharmaceutical medicine, if it works at all at the start, which a lot of times it doesn't, but if it does work, it works until it doesn't, because the poison breaks the very thing that it's improving. That's what it does. That's how it works. That's what herbs do too. If you're not taking an herb for a specific nutrient in it, it is a drug. It's just less side effects. They base pharmaceuticals on compounds they find in plants. So if you're going to call one a drug and one not, that's not, okay, one may be synthesized in the lab, but it's based on a natural compound that wasn't a nutrient anyway. So it's forcing your body to do something it didn't want to do. Now, can that be useful at certain times in certain contexts? Sure. If I'm dying on a hospital table because I was in a terrible car accident, inject me with the atropine and inject me with the adrenaline and do it. Keep me alive. Absolutely. And as soon as I'm awake, get me the hell out of that place. Get me away from the butchers. Save my life and then get me the hell away from the butchers. But molybdenum has to be dosed properly based on hair testing. People are being warned against molybdenum. Oh, molybdenum toxicity. I can tell you that when I have been guiding people based on their symptoms and their hair tests, I have never had any problems with molybdenum issues at all. The only time I've ever seen problems with molybdenum is when people misread the instructions and took 7 times as much as I said. Otherwise, I've never had any problems. So there could be, monkey, you may be eating lots of sulfur foods too. You may just be, the poison always wins. Remember, the poison always wins. It doesn't matter how much good stuff you do if you continue to put too much, whatever that amount is, of poison in your system. There could be other nutrient stuff going on. Could be using Epsom salt baths, magnesium sulfate. Oh, for those of you who like sulfate stuff, you think sulfates are going to save the world. Vitamin A and glyphosate have both been shown to negatively affect sulfate metabolism. So if you have vitamin A toxicity, you have problems with your sulfate metabolism. It doesn't mean you need more sulfate. It means you're still toxic. So it sounds like, Monkey, I don't know if you're in my program, but I just put out a 4-article series of the things that people are doing or being exposed to. They're doing or they're not doing or they're being constantly exposed to that cause them to become chronically sensitive to supplements and foods. And where they start, let's say they're even doing my program and they're not getting better, they're slowly getting worse. There's almost always something that they are being chronically exposed to, whether that's mercury or copper or mold or whatever. And when we figure it out, as somebody just commented on the inside the Love Your Liver program today, when they were not doing better on the program, I told them to look into mold in their house. And they went and they got the mold problem fixed. And all of a sudden, boom, they start making huge amounts of progress on the program. They're able to take supplements. You guys have heard me talk here about my buddy who he had copper water pipes in his house, a lot of copper water pipes. And he stopped showering in that water and doing foot soaks. And all of a sudden, he started getting better. And he was now able to tolerate the supplements that I was suggesting he could take when he could never tolerate them before. Understand that as you are able, for those who can't tolerate supplements at all, that's a sign that you're probably having too much toxicity coming into you on a regular basis. And when you remove that toxicity, things get better. It's as simple as this. Your blood is like a one-way street, right? There's blood going away from your heart and then it turns around and it comes back to your heart. Your blood is your transportation. Just think of it as a one-way street. It brings things in and it takes things out. If you are constantly being exposed to a poison or a toxin, you already have it coming in all the time. Why do you feel bad? Because you have too much poison in your blood. Okay. So then your brilliant practitioner or you reading the internet, doing the best you can. Don't get me wrong. You're doing the best you can with the information you had. You probably didn't have me yet. You start taking things to force you into detox, or even the right minerals, which kick the toxic metals out of their spots. Into where? Into your blood. You got mercury fillings. You're breathing in mercury every time you eat. Every time you chew, you are off-gassing that mercury. Don't let anybody tell you that 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line, you're not off-gassing mercury anymore. You still have a chunk of mercury in your mouth. It's absolutely still off-gassing. The IAOMT, the International Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Toxicity, has videos of a 30-year-old amalgam filling. They have it in front of a black light and they rub it with an eraser. That's it. They rub it with a pencil eraser and you see it off-gas in the video. Let me go see if I can find it. I'll put it in here. Let me see. There we go. Here, hold on. Let me get this link. This is from the IAOMT. This is a video from the IAOMT. Smoking gas equals poison teeth. And this is where they rub it with an eraser and you see it start smoking. And this is like a 30-year-old amalgam filling. If you have mercury fillings in your mouth, you are by definition mercury toxic. The longer you've had the mercury fillings in your mouth, the more toxic you are. The reason why you haven't gotten better while you have mercury fillings in your mouth is because you have mercury fillings in your mouth. You want to get better? Get that shit out of your mouth. That's the start. Then you got to work on getting all that crap out of you, which is not chelation. You don't have to do chelation. Oh my God. Stop with that crap. Chelation is an emergency measure. You don't need to do it to get your health back. Do we want to get those minerals, that toxic metals out of you? Yes, you can use zinc and selenium and other things to get it out. Your body can get this stuff out. The idea that like toxic metals could get into your brain so they can get in, but then they can't get out. How'd they get in? If they can get in, why can't they get out? Like your body would make some sort of valve that's only one way. Oh, we're God's up there. He's like, I'm going to design these people so that the poisons that can get into their brain can only get in and that they can't escape. Do you actually think we're that poorly designed? Wait, God's like, they must have the pharmaceutical industry make chelating agents to save them. Seriously. Minerals can displace minerals. Do you know there's like two things that supposed copper deficiency can cause? Do you know how many enzymes they found that are related to zinc, that are zinc they require zinc to run the enzymes? There's over 200 zinc related enzymes in the body. 200. And then they're like, there's two things that vitamin A deficiency has supposedly been totally connected to causing, and that's dry eye and night blindness. But if you go and you look up Accutane symptoms and vitamin A toxicity symptoms, oh, dry eye and night blindness is in there too. So wait, toxicity can cause the same symptoms as deficiency? Okay. Oh, copper can cause an anemia that looks like iron deficiency. That's like mainly it. I fix anemia all the time, and I don't push any copper into people. But then they'll badmouth zinc. Zinc is negatively affecting your copper. So let's not get enough of the thing you need for 200 plus enzyme systems in your body. Good plan. They just keep making more clients for me. There's no shortage. So, Scrawny Clown says copper serum at 95, wife is at 126. I'm going to tell you, you're both copper toxic. Copper toxicity hits men harder. If you were both, if your wife was 95 and you were 95, the man is going to be more negatively affected by the copper than the woman is at the same level. But women tend to have more copper in them, and then it really messes with their hormones. So men are it's iron. Iron affects women harder at the same high ferritin than it does men. Calcium, hair calcium. Hair calcium affects men more at the same high level than it does women. Like I can tell you, a man above 100 on hair calcium is not enjoying life at all. And a woman at 100, she's like, yeah, I got tired. I got some, it's like she's got some stuff. But a man over 100, oh, that's bad. Like a man could not survive, in my opinion, at that calcium of 700, which I've seen in several women. A man would be heart attack dead. Absolutely. And it's not saying anything about the strength of either gender or sex. I'm sorry, sex. We talk about sex here. We don't talk about genders. There's difference in the sexes. It's not culturally ingrained. I remember my dad said to me once, he said, anybody who thinks there's not innate differences between men and women obviously has never had children. And as I had kids, I saw that was absolutely true. It's amazing the truths that come to you once you have children. Be fruitful and prosper. I got to get going here pretty soon. Simon says, is there something else besides lactoferrin that heals the bile ducts? Yes. Less poison in the system. It is the toxic bile. If you think of the toxic bile as hot lava, and that it damages everything it touches. It damages the liver cells that make it. It damages the little teeny bile ducts in the liver. Either one of those is called intrahepatic cholestasis. Once the bile has left the liver, then we're talking about extrahepatic cholestasis outside of the liver. So that hot lava bile can damage the gallbladder. It can damage the bile ducts. It is the cause of leaky gut. The reason why no one has figured out leaky gut and how to really, really fix it is because none of them are looking at bile, or they're like, make more bile. And they'll take things like herbs to force your body to increase bile. Bitter herbs, bitter being a sign of poison in nature. Don't eat bitter things. Nature's trying to tell you by your initial distaste for it that they're bad for you. And just because you trained yourself to like bitter things doesn't mean they're not toxic. Crackheads train themselves to like crack. Alcoholics train themselves to like alcohol. That doesn't mean it's good. That doesn't mean all of a sudden it's not toxic just because you trained yourself and your children to eat things that nature gave you a sign on that are poison. What are the signs of poison in nature? Remember, we don't have great senses compared to a lot of animals out there. We were blessed with this. All we have to do is use it. How does nature mark poisons? Bitter tastes, strong, dark, or bright colors. If you go and look at poisonous animals, go look up the word of aposematism. Actually, I'll get my article on it. Here. Aposematism is how nature marks poisonous animals and plants with bright or dark or strong colors. Eggplant. So when I talk about dark, I mean like eggplant, the outside of eggplant would be an example of that. I don't know if you know this, but back I in my old Nightsheet articles, there was a saying back in, I think it was like 1500s Italy, that if you ate eggplant every day for a month, you would go insane. Do you think they just made that up out of thin air? Or maybe they watched somebody do it to themselves. Bright, dark, strong colors. Eat your dark leafy greens, folks. That's sarcasm. Eat a rainbow. They told you to on Sesame Street in 2005, and ever since then, everybody's been trying to eat the rainbow. Have we gotten better or worse? And the last thing is, what was the last thing? Smell. Strong smells. Strong smells. I mean, just imagine onions. They smell. They come out of you. They make you smell. They make you cry. And yet we still eat them. Did nature not give you enough signals? God, nature, however you choose to think about it. Did you not get enough signals? They make you cry. They smell. They make you smell. Garlic. Straight up poison. Nature's trying to tell you. Like, oh, it kills pathogens. If it kills stuff, you probably don't want to eat it. If you would say, well, don't eat pesticides, obviously they kill bugs. Why would you want to get pesticides on your food and eat it. It's bad for bugs. Why do you not think it's bad for you? Use that same damn logic on your supplements and your foods. All of a sudden you start going, holy shit, no wonder I'm sick. Damwan asks, can SIBO be fixed without antimicrobials? Absolutely. We change the environment of the gut. The idea that we are at war, constant war with pathogens is, remember, modern medicine wants us to be in a war on cancer. How is that going? It's not going well. Cancer cells are, we must change our idea of cancer. Cancer is your own cells that have been modified by your body in a desperate attempt to create more storage area for the toxins that are overwhelming your system. That is what cancer is. Cancer is toxic storage. Your body has run out of space in its preferred storage areas, which might be the liver, it might be other organs, it might be the kidneys, it might be your body fat. Your liver, your body has run out of storage areas. So it starts in its wisdom that is far greater than anything we could ever think up here in medicine. It starts saying, if I want to get out of this, I gotta make some more storage areas, or else this toxin is going to go into the blood and kill us. So it makes storage. And as you get more toxic because you don't know what the toxins are, the cancer gets bigger. And then you see new storage areas pop up. Maybe you think you're doing something healthy. And they talk about cancer spontaneously going into remission. Did it go into remission, or maybe did somebody either start doing something that helped them detox that poison faster, or did they change their diet? Maybe they stopped eating at McDonald's. And that was enough of a change that their body was able to start getting rid of the poison. And then all of a sudden their storage area was able to shrink. Real quick here, what does chemo do? You can look up chemotherapy and fatty liver. Chemotherapy, steatosis, chemotherapy, fatty liver. Chemotherapy causes fatty liver. What I'm going to tell you is that cancer is the body creating storage areas in other areas of the body to grab the poisons out of the blood and store them there. Okay? How do these poisons get into the blood? Leaky bile, cholestasis, subclinical cholestasis, outright cholestasis. Bile leaking into the blood through the intrahepatic cholestasis, through the liver itself, through the bile ducts, through the gut. It gets into the blood. The body's trying to store it, so it creates cancer. How then could we, or I'll say the conventional medical system, treat cancer? Well, they give you something that shuts down your bile production. Because if you're not making bile, there's no bile going into your blood. If there's no bile going into your blood, then those storage areas that your body had manufactured can now start clearing out their waste right into the blood. And then you can poop it out, or have it go out your kidneys, or have it go out your skin. And the cancer has gotten better. But what happened to your liver that whole time that it was shut down from making bile? It is slowly accumulating poison, fatty liver. And what's been shown about the fatty liver that chemotherapy is used to induce. So what happens with fatty liver? You're just storing bile and toxins in your liver. Okay, it's building up. It's been shown that the fatty liver from chemotherapy will slowly resolve over time, and you'll slowly start producing bile again. Isn't it well known that cancer's going to come back after chemotherapy? And it's going to come back stronger and worse and spread? All that time you were suppressing the bile in the liver, your liver is storing up all that poison. And when that bile comes out again, it's even more toxic. And then we see the same problem return, and we see new problem areas return. Does this all make sense now? So you can do all sorts of things. You could do carrot juice to shut down your bile production. You get the same result. You get a liver full of toxic stuff. You get to see the cancer go away for a while, and then you get to see the cancer come back and explode in intensity. Oh, and don't forget, now you have chemotherapy stuck in your liver, which is by definition a poison. Chemotherapy is chemical therapy. They're hoping that it kills the cancer before it kills you. That's how it works. And what happens eventually? You lose. The chemo kills you. What killed my dad? The 5th round of chemo is what killed him. But was it metastasizing, as they say? Yes. It was doing what happens as the body becomes more and more toxic and has to make more and more storage areas for poison. The body is doing the best it can, just like in therapy. Any of you who have ever been to counseling or therapy, they say people do the best they can with the tools they have available to them. So does your body. There is no cancer invader in your body. You're toxic. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't want to admit. Admitting you're toxic is scarier to people than going to a doctor who says, we're going to fight a war on your cancer. If it's toxicity, you have to take responsibility. What do most people not want to do these days? They don't want to take any responsibility. They want to hand it over to the doctor and say, okay, go and shoot me with radiation and inject me with poisons. And we're going to somehow think that this is going to make me healthier. It's not how it works. Now, why can cutting out the cancer help? You just cut out a giant bag of poison. Oh, hey. You didn't have to have that poison bag to live, so you can cut it out. Okay. Did that solve your problem? If you didn't know what was causing the problem's still there. It'll just take a while to build up again. It's the same problem. They didn't fix the leaky bile. They just took out the end result, the symptom. Cancer is not a root cause. Cancer is a symptom. So, and if you weren't listening to my other live stream, one thing they tend to find that's really high in almost all cancers, they tend to find a lot of copper in there. Copper's estrogenic. Estrogen tends to increase the growth rate of cancers. Toxin. I'm sitting here saying toxins. Cancer is toxicity. We tend to find a lot of copper in cancers. Weird. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'm going to be on the Good Guys podcast later today. You can find them on YouTube. Just look up Good Guys, the Good Guys Show, I think it is. And I'll be on there later today. If you want to see that, I'll be posting that on all my social media. NutritionDetective.com is where you can find more from me, or you can find me as Nutrition Detective around the social media craziness on the internet. And I will see you all next week. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye now.